I just want to read, I had a whole slew of testimonials. I'm doing this in a university course. I'm trying to walk the walk. I must say that with the university students, I met with some resistance when I wanted them as an assignment to create a task based on the model that Peter presents. They wanted to know, how many essays do I have to write for you? What do you want me to give you so that I can get my A? And it's no longer an A, it's an A+. And I said, you just sit back and relax and you listen for a minute. This is what you're going to do. You're going to create a task that's based on one of the dimensions, and we use the framework, and it goes very nicely. As you say, Peter, it's a simplistic way to get the point across. The teachers then take their task into the schools, and they work on the tasks with the students. They debrief. They collect student testimonials. So when we debrief in the classroom, we discuss the student testimonials, the student-teacher testimony, the university student testimonials. Right now, I have a group of students working on some military research. Basically, what I've asked them to do is go to their local cenotaphs, take any name off the cenotaph, and going through a series of steps of research, bring that particular person's story to life. In other words, taking the word from stone and creating the narrative. This is an email that I received from one of the students involved in that, and this is university level. Hi, Professor Perry. I found that by searching only by the year, I just want you to pay attention to the level of the discussion here. This is a person with no background whatsoever in history. She would be about 45 years old. She's been working in the business community. She still is, and she's back doing an education degree. I found that by searching only by the year, I could find the military movements of the 14th Battalion. My soldier is originally from Kingston Peninsula, and during my 4 hours of internet research yesterday, I found he and his dad referenced under New Brunswick cemeteries over on Long Reach, so I'm going there today to get a photo of that. The soldier, now, from St. John to Long Reach, that's about an hour-and-a-half's drive. What in the world would motivate an individual in university to drive in their spare time an hour-and-a-half to look at a name or to cross-reference something? The soldier is buried, not buried, but name is inscribed on Menin Gate, but his name is on his dad's burial stone. I've established contact with the soldier's nephew who lives over on the Reach. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I was consumed by this yesterday morning. I contacted the library uptown, and they have the reference book on the 14th establishment in Nova Scotia with photos, etc. I'm doing that research tomorrow at lunchtime when I'm at work. It's been tough because the soldier's name was Irvin. However, due to his poor penmanship, the person who listed his information on the virtual memorial shows his name as Ewen, I-W-E-N. As well, according to the veteran sites, he died on June 27, 1916. However, his date of death, according to NB Archives' website, is noted as July 27, 1916. She's finding errors in the sources. There is no reference to being in action on July 27th. It looks as if they were off the front and doing some sort of training reorganization. Once I get the photo of the tombstone at Long Reach, I'll determine if it's a typo on the archives site. I also looked online at the New Brunswick Museum, and there are a couple of collections where they have letters, photos, and so on. Soldiers World War I. So I'm going to try to tap into this on Wednesday morning, or Wednesday afternoon, sorry, as I have a couple of hours of overtime from work that I'm using. This has been a fun, frustrating, moving, humbling, time-consuming project, exclamation mark, a great experience for certain. It's a university student. Professor Perry, this is the same person. Amazing news. She's excited. I interviewed my soldier's great-nephew on Sunday morning. What a treat that was. And another student doing the same work, examining evidence. Mark, exclamation mark. I just phoned Hope Hazen Hunter. She was Ray McKay's niece. She never met him, but she gave me some great information, and we talked for almost an hour about her family's history. Right on, thanks. She amazed me when she said she would check her mother's diary. Hope was born in 1918, so that diary is more than a century old. To make a long story short, she's made a family connection here that she didn't know existed. The rest of the email. It's the power of doing this type of work. So, university level education has to move from the conceptual to the practical, and there's room for both. Accessibility to resources can be an obstacle. On the surface, it seems like an easy one to tackle, but sometimes teachers in the classroom feel that they have to have the quintessential resource or the quintessential primary document, okay? And there has to be a shift in thinking about what primary documents are, what evidence is, what resources are. And we clearly know that they can be found all around us. There's a lack of exemplars, a variety of exemplars, grade levels, ability levels. And I think that there has to be a shift in thinking about this and who can do the work, and that younger students are able to do this work, and it's at that level that we begin to create the culture for thinking historically. Obstacle. Districts often control PD, or professional development, because they want to target a wide range of interests, disciplines, and so on. Often the PD is a generic methodological approach to classroom management or something along those lines. So key and lead teachers in the provinces can can be a little bit more proactive here to apply for opportunities to present at PDs, at subject council days for staffs and staff meetings and department meetings and so on. And finally, there can be more product examples. At the classroom level in the high school, we've taken some of the work that Peter has presented, and we've also taken work that Blake Seward, who is from Smith Falls, Ontario, Blake's back here, has created in the Lest We Forget project. It's another great example of a framework or scaffolding that assists us in walking through the process. And this is related to the Cenotaph research that I was describing. My students were involved in a project, again, this notion of taking the name from the Cenotaph, introducing students to the evidence. In this case, it was the military files that we ordered from Library and Archives Canada. Each one is about this thick, and provides, in militaries, the details of the soldier's military life. Each of the students received a file, and that file represented an individual. And from the files, communications with individuals in the community were able to gather information that enabled the students to write the narratives of 26 men from the community. And that ended up becoming a book. Now, these students didn't think that the individual narratives were enough, so they wrote the history of World War I, or what they felt to be the key battles, and they were getting into significance, the key battles of World War I, and they placed the soldiers' stories in context. I have another round of students this year who are working on the World War II names, and the books are in the hands of a publisher in St. John, New Brunswick, who wants to publish both books as a set. So imagine that we will have about 80 students who will be published authors by the time they're finished grade 12. This inspired by the project that Peter is presenting, the Benchmarks of Historical Thinking, and the work that Blake Seward has done, and Library and Archives Canada has done, this network of individuals. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay.